January 1944. South Pacific. The skies above Bougainville shimmer in the late afternoon heat, the sea below turning copper as the sun drops toward the horizon. The Marine Corsair squadrons, VMF-214, VMF-215, and VMF-221 launch in staggered waves, their engines echoing across the island like rolling thunder. Captain James "Grinder" Talmadge lifts off with a hard right bank, climbing rapidly until the beaches shrink beneath him. The F4U feels alive now, no longer the troublesome machine the Navy doubted, no longer the relayed reject. It is climbing with the authority of a heavyweight predator. And in the distance, just forming on the horizon, are the dark specks every Corsair pilot has learned to study with unwavering focus. Incoming Japanese fighters. A mixed force today, A6M50s, K61 Tonys from Rabaul, even a handful of older K43 Oscars pushing their airframes to the limit just to reach combat altitude in time. Devil dogs, tighten up, they're coming in high, Talmadge says. The squadron stacks into a climbing spiral, each Corsair taking its place in the formation with calm precision. The air is still. Engines hum, and then the Japanese flight dives. Sunlight flashes off canopies, trails slice through the sky. Talmadge pushes the throttle forward, the great prop biting into the air, the Corsair surging upward with a howl. He rolls left, then snaps right, an impossible maneuver for most fighters at this speed and angle, but the F4U holds together, defying the assumptions of every enemy pilot who has only heard rumors about the bent-wing monster. A Japanese ace, Lieutenant Osamu Kaito, spots Talmadge from above. Kaito has survived Guadalcanal, the Solomons, and countless ambushes. He has heard Marines brag that their Corsair can outclimb anything. He has heard intelligence reports claiming its 6.5 caliber guns tear aircraft apart in seconds. He does not believe it. He angles down, Zero trembling as he pushes its delicate frame past its comfortable limits. Its wings buffet, its controls stiffen, but he commits, determined to slash through the American formation. Talmadge sees him. You would see it too, just a flicker at first. A glint of metal half hidden behind the sun, and then the unmistakable outline of an A6M diving in with predatory intent. Talmadge calmly rolls inverted. Kaito expects fear, or at least hesitation, but the Corsair simply rotates and drops into a steep dive. No structural groan, no stall, no wobble. Impossible, Kaito thinks. He tries to follow, and instantly regrets it. The Zero cannot keep up. Its dive limit is dangerously low, its control surfaces stiffen at high speed, and its airframe begins to shake with a warning that every veteran pilot knows all too well. Talmadge pulls out effortlessly, loops upward, and cuts across the sun. Kaito loses him. The first burst of .5 caliber fire hits before Kaito even knows Talmadge is behind him. Tracers rip through the Zero's fuselage, punching inward and erupting outward in a shower of shattered metal. Kaito jerks the stick, but the Zero is bleeding energy, its nimbleness betrayed by its fragility. Another burst. The canopy spiders, fuel sprays. Flame catches instantly. Talmadge pulls up as the Zero spirals down, a comet trailing fire into the sea. "Splash one," he says simply. Around him, the sky becomes a storm of maneuvering fighters, contrails twisting like ropes, machine gun tracers reaching across the air in sharp, bright lines. The Corsairs dive, climb, roll, and counter-roll with a confidence no American fighter had shown in this theater just a year earlier. Japanese pilots who once mocked the bent-wing plane now watch it climb vertically past them, something their lightweight Zeros can never do. They see it dive without fear of losing a wing. They witness it break out of a turn with raw force that shoves it instantly onto their tails. Within minutes, 3 more Zeros fall. Then 2 Tonys. And the last Oscar tries to flee, but a Corsair from VMF 215 simply climbs, flips over, and drops behind it as if gravity itself favors the American aircraft. The engagement is over almost as quickly as it began. 7 Japanese fighters destroyed. Not a single Corsair lost. Talmadge circles back toward Bougainville, his engine humming steadily, the sun now low enough that it paints the entire horizon a molten gold. He checks his ammunition load, barely half expended. Base, Devil Dog 1 returning, enemy flight neutralized, he radios. The reply carries something he has heard more and more often in recent months. Copy Devil Dog 1, outstanding work. As the Corsairs begin their descent, the kill ratio reports are already forming. It will soon become official. In certain Pacific theaters, the F4U Corsair is now achieving more than an 11-to-1 kill ratio. A statistic that will ripple across Imperial Japanese Navy headquarters like a shockwave. And in the months ahead, that number will only grow. February 1944, Rabaul Air Headquarters. What was once the nerve center of Japanese air power in the South Pacific now feels like a wounded fortress. The corridors are quieter, the maps on the walls show more red pins than blue, and the daily combat reports, once filled with confident language and victory claims, have taken a darker tone. Rear Admiral Tomoji Koyanagi stands over a table layered with dispatches from the front. His officers wait in rigid silence as he reads the most recent entry, yet another account from a decimated squadron. 7 Zeros dispatched from Tobera Airfield. None returned. Witnesses on the ground describe a brief engagement with American fighters. Those American fighters were Corsairs. Koyanagi lowers the paper slowly. The officers do not speak, not yet. They have all heard the rumors. The bent-wing aircraft, the one many pilots laughed at when grainy reconnaissance photos first appeared months earlier. A machine they dismissed as a clumsy brute that would fold under stress, outmaneuvered and outclassed by the elegant A6M0. But now, the reports say something different. They say it climbs faster. They say it dives harder. They say its guns shred aircraft in seconds. And worst of all, they say it survives hits that would atomize a Zero. Koyanagi finally looks up. Summon Lieutenant Commander Masaaki Shimura, he orders. Minutes later, Shimura steps into the room, his uniform immaculate despite the fatigue in his eyes. He is one of the few surviving veteran instructors, one of the last pilots who truly understands the art of aerial combat from years of experience rather than desperate improvisation. Kneel, Koyanagi says softly, and Shimura kneels before the map. I have read every combat report from the last 6 months. You have trained the best of our pilots. I ask you now, what do they fear? Shimura hesitates. Koyanagi's voice sharpens. Speak. Shimura bows his head. They fear the new American fighter, the one with the inverted wings, the one they call the Corsair. The room tightens. Why? Koyanagi asks. Shimura exhales slowly, as if admitting a truth he hoped would never be spoken aloud. Because it erases our advantages. Our Zero is agile, yes, but fragile. The Corsair turns nearly as well at high speed, climbs far better, and dives in ways the Zero cannot follow. He pauses. And its guns kill with one pass. Koyanagi closes his eyes. His officers remain frozen, as if any movement might crack the thin shell of discipline holding the room together. Then, what do you recommend? The Admiral asks. Shimura points to Bougainville and the surrounding islands. Stop underestimating it. The statement hangs in the air like a breaking wave. Treat it as our greatest threat, Shimura continues. Train our pilots never to chase it in a dive, never to follow it vertically, never to allow it to dictate the merge, and above all, teach them to escape, not defeat it, if they fall into its sightline. Koyanagi's gaze drifts back to the paper on the table, the report of the 7 zeros lost in minutes. He imagines